Hello everyone, I am Surendra Renorkar, working in Department of Electronics, Sri Shivaji College, Parbhani. In previous video, we learn about block diagram of communication system. In this video, we learn about classification of electronic communication system. It shows that the electronic communication system can be basically categorized into three groups based on number one, whether the system is unidirectional or bidirectional. Second is whether it uses an analog or digital information signal. And third one is whether the system uses baseband transmission or uses some kind of modulation. The electronic communication system can be classified into various categories as shown in the flow chart. The electronic communication system can be divided into three groups. First group is based on whether communication is unidirectional or bidirectional. Second group based on nature of information signal. And third is based on which techniques is used for transmission. Now again, this three group further divided into subcategory. Let's see in the flow chart. Unidirectional or bidirectional communication divided in three subcategory. First is simple system, second is half duplex, and third one is full duplex system. Also, another group, that is nature of information signal, subdivided on analog and digital. And last group, that is techniques of transmission, is subdivided into two categories. First is baseband transmission and second is communication using modulation. Now, as we mentioned earlier, there are three groups of communication system. Let us discuss one by one. So, first of all, we discuss about first group, that is classification based on direction of communication. Now, based on whether the system communicates only in one direction or otherwise, the communication system are classified as we earlier mentioned. That is simplex system, half duplex system, and full duplex system. Now we see what is meant by simplex system. In this system, the information is communicated in only one direction. For example, the radio or TV broadcast system can only transmit. They cannot receive the information. Now, second is half duplex system. This system are bidirectional. That is, they can transmit as well as receive, but not simultaneously. At a time, system can either transmit or receive. For example, a transceiver or walkie-talkie set. Now, third one is full duplex system. These are truly bidirectional system as they allow the communication to take place in both the direction simultaneously. This system can transmit as well as receive simultaneously. For example, the telephone systems. Now second group, that is classification based on the nature of information signal. The information signal used in a communication system can be either analog or digital. We know that analog signal are the signal which vary continuously with time. See in this picture. The example of analog signal are voice signal, picture signal or music signal, etc. Also the digital signal have only two distinct level, that is high means 1 or low means 0. See in this figure, that is level 1 and this is level 0. For example, digital signal can be obtained from a computer. Now comparing these two signal in a different aspects. In case of analog signal, the amplitude of an analog signal changes continuously with time. But in case of digital data, the amplitude of digital signal changes suddenly from 0 to 1 or from 1 to 0. Sound signal, picture signal, etc. are example of analog signal, and computer data is digital in nature, is an example of digital data. Now analog signal is an exact reproduction of the physical quantity, and digital data is not an exact representation, but it is always an approximation. In analog signal, the error introduced in the representing a physical quantity is very small, but in digital signal, due to approximation, there is a large error introduced in representing a physical quantity. Now bandwidth requirement of the analog signal is less, but large bandwidth is required to transmit digital data. Now we see third group, that is classification based on the techniques of signal transmission. Now based on the technique used for the signal transmission, we can subcategorize the electronic communication system. That is, first is baseband transmission system and second is communication system using modulation. Now we see in detail of baseband signal and baseband transmission. The information or the input signal to a communication system can be analog, that is sound, picture, or it can be digital. For example, the computer data, as I earlier said. The electrical equivalent of this original information signal is known as the baseband signal. In some system called the baseband transmission system, the baseband signal, that is original information signal, are directly transmitted. For example, of this type of system are telephone network, where the sound signal converted into the electrical signal is placed directly on the telephone lines for transmission, that is called as local calls. Another example of baseband transmission is computer data transmission over the coaxial cable in the computer network. Thus the baseband transmission is the transmission of the original information signal as it is. Some limitation for this system of transmission, that is baseband transmission, cannot be used with certain medium. For example, it cannot be used for the radio transmission where the medium is free space. This because the voice signal, that is in electrical form, cannot travel long distance in air. It gets suppressed after a short distance. Therefore, for the radio communication of baseband signal, a technique called modulation is used. Now we see second type, that is communication system using modulation. Now, can we walk from Parbhani to Mumbai? Answer is no, we can't. So what we do? We take a bus or car or plane to travel to Mumbai. Here we are the information, and bus or car or plane is a carrier which takes us to the destination. The same technique is used in modulation. In the modulation process, the baseband signal is called modulating signal, and another higher frequency signal is called as the carrier. The carrier signal will carry the modulating signal to the destination. The carrier is usually a sine wave signal at higher frequency than the information signal called as baseband signal. The baseband signal will modify the amplitude or frequency or phase of the carrier in the process of modulation. Now here we will getting a three types of modulation. If we change the amplitude, so you will getting a amplitude modulation. If we change the frequency, we will getting a frequency modulation, and if we change the phase, so you will getting a phase modulation. That is we will see later on in details. Now here we conclude this video lecture. In this video we learn about classification of communication system based on direction, nature of signal, and techniques of transmission. In next video we discuss about what is the need for modulation for communication. Thanks for watching this video.